The list of things you'd expect to fall from the sky is pretty short. Rain, snow, skydivers, balls you throw up in the air, and any airplane built by the Russians. So how did the residents of a town in Kentucky react when it started to rain meat? Why are whole flocks of dead birds dropping to the ground? And just when you thought it couldn't get any weirder, to answer your question, yes, eels have fallen from the sky, along with candy in real life. Here are the top 10 strangest things to fall from the sky. Number 10, the Kentucky meat shower. The name admittedly makes it sound like something you'd find in a German fetish video, but thankfully the Kentucky meat shower had nothing to do with that, or everyone's favorite colonel. On March 3rd, 1876, in Bath County, Kentucky, chunks of red meat fell from the sky for nearly 10 minutes. The residents were stunned, first at the idea of meat falling from the sky, and then at the sight of a local guy who thought, maybe I better eat this sky meat. Luckily, scientists managed to analyze the strange material before Fatso disposed of the evidence, and it was revealed to be a mixture of lung tissue, muscle tissue, and cartilage. But why would meat fall down from the sky? Where was it coming from? One theory suggests buzzards were to blame, as they're known to commonly toss down their dinner if one of them detects something nasty. Well, after several more tests, the meat which fell from the sky was identified as either horse or meat from a human infant. Baby back ribs, anyone? Number 9, a cow. Imagine you're part of a Coast Guard rescue mission. You stumble across the crew of a fishing boat and pull them aboard. You ask them, how did your boat sink? They respond, a cow fell from the sky. Okay, now it's time for the cavity search because you guys are obviously high. The crew was arrested and thrown in prison for several weeks, but insanely they were telling the truth. A cow had smashed through their vessel and left them adrift in the ocean. But without the evidence of the bottom of the ocean, how do you even begin to explain this? Well, a few weeks later, the Japanese authorities were contacted by some extremely embarrassed officials from the Russian Air Force. Before taking off for Siberia, the crew of one of their cargo planes had decided to spontaneously steal a cow. So I can't take a backpack on board as hand luggage, but these guys can stow away a cow. Old Daisy apparently didn't enjoy the in-flight entertainment so much and began to panic, rampaging through the cargo hold. So, like a soda can tossed from a moving car, the cow was torn out over the Sea of Japan from 30,000 feet, careering through the hull of the fishing vessel, cow-shaped a knife through its own airborne butter. Japanese sailors, I shall never doubt you again. I now believe in Godzilla. Number 8. Spider colonies. Not gonna lie, I'm glad I was not there for this one. Cries was making his way from a friend's house in Brazil, minding his own business, strolling the streets of San Antonio de la Platina. The wind in his hair, a spring in his step, a storm of 1,000 spiders in his face. You know, the usual. Whereas you or I would have screamed louder than the front row of a Justin Bieber gig, Eric heroically whipped out his camera and shot footage of this spider-geddon in action. But if you check out the film, these spiders seem to be almost hovering in unison. Are they flying? Have spiders evolved? Didn't hang around to find out, so we can't tell for sure. One group of experts believe the reason they seem to float as they fall from the sky is because they're all connected by giant sheets of web. These structures are so light, the wind can whip them up and carry them miles, slinging a horrible gust of spidery doom into the face of any unfortunate bystanders. Number 7. The real Candy Crush Saga. After Spider-Geddon, let's cleanse your palate a little with an altogether more delicious example of things falling from the sky. In September 1869, some optimistic Californian kid had their wishes come true as candy started to drop out over the night sky. On 2 separate occasions, strange, sweet-tasting crystals about a quarter-inch thick were found all over Lake County. But how do we know that they were sweet-tasting? You probably guessed it. What is it with things falling from the sky that makes people want to eat them? Nobody knows to this day where this stuff came from. The only aerial transport available back then was the hot air balloon, and sugarcane fields weren't planted anywhere in the vicinity of the incident. So, just who was responsible for the sugar bombardment of 1869? And what was the point? Number 6. It's bloody raining. If I was English, I could say that better. Historical tales of blood rain are well documented, with cases recorded in Homer's Iliad from the 8th century BC. Many believed it was actual blood coming down from the heavens as a sign of God's anger. Recent scientific discoveries have revealed that actually God was pretty chill and would never disrespect his homies in this way. Now, the 12th century Archbishop Eustathius believed that the ocean of blood from a battlefield could have evaporated from rivers before falling as rain, but distillation just doesn't work that way, which demonstrates clearly that you should never ask a 12th century bishop for help with your science homework. Not that you would. Some occurrences of blood rain are known to be caused by dust and algae. However, some are still without explanation. Has there ever been a case where actual blood came from the sky and we knew why? Well, to answer my own question, yes. Italian Meteorological Bureau discovered blood pouring down from the skies as having an avian origin. Their explanation? A wind so violent it tore migratory birds apart in midair. Number 5. Time-traveling coins. You know when someone hits you with a ridiculous question right when you're dealing with something super serious? Let's travel back to 1940. Smack bang in the middle of World War II. One of the deadliest conflicts the world has ever seen. A Russian official is told a call has come in from the village of Meshera. What is it? Have the Nazis invaded? Are our allies spying on us? Have we run out of vodka? No, comrade. The villagers, they say coins are raining from the sky. They're presumably cursing in Russian and letting out a sigh. Investigations reveal the story was even crazier than first imagined. These coins were from the 16th century. Had Hitler opened up a time portal? Probably not, but we still don't know where they came from. Perhaps the Russians were flying old treasures away from the Nazi threat, or maybe an undiscovered hoard of old rubles had simply been exposed by solar erosion and whipped into the air by a storm, just like spiders do. We will probably never know, unless we somehow get a hold of Hitler's time machine. Number 4. Eels. As if Alaskans needed more reason not to go outside, the residents of one town in the state of perpetual winter now have another good excuse. These things. In June of this year, the people of Fairbanks, Alaska began to report these creepy-looking creatures dropping on their town. With its bright pink mouth, creepy-looking teeth, and what seems to be an eyeball in the center of its throat, this slippery-looking specimen terrified those who came across it. It does look like something that would latch onto your brain and send you on a never-ending quest for human flesh. The first of these was found squirming on the parking lot of a thrift store, leaving hipsters running for their lives. Another landed in someone's backyard, and 2 further beings were discovered over the next few days. These are, without a doubt, the most frightening parasites to come out of Alaska since a presidential candidate from several years ago. So where did they come from? Don't worry, we're not being invaded by brain-sucking parasites after all. These creatures were eventually identified as Arctic lamprey eels. There is the possibility that gulls were to blame for this aerial eel bombardment, but nobody knows why there were so many dropped in such a short space of time, and why Mother Nature made them look so freaking creepy. Number 3. Star jelly. Yes, I may have covered this one before, but here's more information, and even better information. Over several months in 1994, strange gelatinous blobs rained down on Oakville, Washington. No, there wasn't a World of Warcraft convention in town, but something much more greasy and weird. These strange, slimy blobs just appeared overnight and caused several residents to fall severely ill with nausea, vertigo, and breathing difficulties. Thankfully, nobody died, aside from one kitten, probably just ate the goo because cats are stupid, and that's what cats do. So, what was this mysterious ooze? Did some passing extraterrestrial stumble upon a wet t-shirt competition and get a little too excited at the sight of moist humans? Or was there something more sinister at play? Some speculate the substance was man-made, and at the Oakville Side Black Military, helicopters were seen in the area shortly afterwards. But think about that in the context of this. In 1977, the Pentagon admitted to conducting hundreds of secret germ experiments in a number of American cities. But that doesn't explain previous sightings of what people call star jelly, dating as far back as the 13th century. One theory points the finger at birds, who have vomited after eating too many frog ovaries. We've all been there. But that overlooks one decidedly creepy piece of information. Tests on the Oakville blobs revealed that the goo, strange, quivering, mysterious blob, contained white blood cells of a human origin. Number 2. Birds from the sky. I know what you're thinking. Birds dropping from the sky? That's called landing, right? Wrong. Not if they're dead, which these birds were. Although, that makes it sound like this was an isolated incident. It most certainly wasn't. Reports of hundreds and sometimes thousands of birds dropping out of the sky have been coming in from Quebec City, New Jersey, Louisiana, Australia, Texas, Italy, Sweden, California, Louisiana again, Minnesota, Kentucky, and many, many more. And these things have been recorded over the past 100 years. Something out there is causing more bird fatalities than the Chick-fil-A breakfast menu. So what is it? Some birds have been found with blue beak marks, indicating in-flight suffocation. Australian witnesses said the birds were alive when they dropped to the ground, but were convulsing violently. And in Italy, experts claimed indigestion from overeating may be the cause. These incidents are becoming ever more common, with no single cause attributable. Could something unseen be dropping birds out of the sky? Industrial poisoning? Signals from communication towers? But with no obvious threat to trace, I think we can expect even more mass bird deaths in the future. Number 1. Deadly white powder. This next entry is a lesson to all those idiots who insist on eating things that drop out of the sky. On a quiet Saturday morning in Seveso, Italy, I did pronounce that wrong, a strange, ear-piercing whistle startled the town. Everything suddenly went dark as the sky became choked with thick gray clouds. Clouds which then began to drop a foul-smelling white dust. Days passed before anyone knew what happened, but in the meantime, animals began to die. Sting black pustules erupted on the skin of young children, and horrifically, there were at least 30 pregnant women who panicked and underwent abortions due to fears that the mysterious substance might mutate their unborn children. Just what was this dangerous white powder? What was it doing to people? Chemical factory finally admitted blame 10 days later. The white dust contained a deadly poison called dioxin, if you've heard of it before. After over a week of exposure, the area was finally evacuated, but the damage had already been done. Like many chemical spills, the company tried to hide the real truth until they could figure out how to get rid of it. As a quick addendum to this final entry, it seems tales of the Seveso incident, which I mispronounced, had no impact whatsoever on the population of Chester, South Carolina. When a similar thing happened to them, a huge cloud of white dust covered the town, and people just went out and ate it. Luckily this time the powder was a non-dairy creamer accidentally vented from a local plant. Really, if there's one lesson you've learned from this video, it's do not eat the mystery powder. Repeat after me, do not eat the mystery powder. Do not eat the mystery powder. Also, do not eat the sky meat. Do not eat the strange gelatinous blobs. But sky candy? That's fine. You can eat that. Want more awesomeness just like this to appear on your computer monitor right in front of your face right now? Then watch our video about the top 10 hackable mind mysteries. A video which, once you watch it, you can use what you just learned to exploit others.